Alright, so this is the Division 1.8. I got some gameplay for the Dirty Reclaimer build. I got a 3-man squad with me and my 2 teammates. They're running some DPS. I believe they're both running Striker SMG at this point. And here's the Dirty Reclaimer. I did a voiceover on this one rather than music or game sound because game sound gets kind of repetitive. I mean, everybody that's watching probably plays this game, so you're kind of used to that. And the music, well, this isn't exactly intense, me racking up a bunch of kills. This is more letting my team slaughter everyone while I sit in the back and do some healing, pop my pulse, and spam some nades. So basically I'm just going to explain kind of the nuance of Reclaimer, and I mean there may be some of you that know how to run it, a lot of people don't and they make a lot of dumb mistakes. But here is one of those dumb mistakes. Do not face tank people, even with a blue up. I was feeling brave, I don't know why, but that's a wrong choice. So now I'm going back to the traditional Reclaimer moves, which is doing the Reclaimer shuffle is like what I call it. That's basically you just strafe in the back and hide, because you're not going to be mowing down that many people as you saw. They're just running through that opening. Basically, you're going to strafe in the back and you're going to spam nades when you can, as you see there. And you're going to be watching your teammate's health, because when it gets low like that, you combat medic like you just saw there. So you're spamming nades, doing the Reclaimer shuffle, and combat medicing your team. And then as you see, these guys also have quite a few turrets. And so occasionally I'm going to be mowing down a turret and proccing my Death by Proxy and Talented. When both of those get procced, my box becomes a 42 or 45,000 healing per second box. And I believe base, it's about 30. And so getting that extra 12,000 per second is going to make the team feel pretty invincible. And you can get that Death by Proxy and Talented procced by shooting any of those skills, whether it's a Seeker Mine or a turret. With this team, mostly it was turrets, but we didn't really have high aspirations for this rogue. We just kind of did it for fun, and then we noticed that it was actually going really well. We were against, I think it was most of the Night Clan and a few random people as well, and it went pretty well. We were here. We just did a lot. I mean, we had to use a couple of ults in this first fight, and now at this point we're just kind of waiting for them to push us. They started playing very differently. They were doing really well at the beginning. They were pushing us and kind of forcing us to use ults, use medkits. You can see I'm already out to 0. And then they just sat back there. And so at this point, we were thinking maybe we go clear. And then we were feeling a little more ambitious. So we said, yeah, let's turn and burn here. And they didn't really push up very much. They were trying to sit back. I think their idea was to try to put pred bleeds on us from a distance, which it's a somewhat smart idea. I mean, obviously the pred bleed's very strong, but if you're going to do that, you should be using an AR rather than the SMGs that they're using, because the damage fall off is quite substantial. And so these pred bleeds, I'm sure I'll get one on me at some point here. They weren't very strong. Even on me with barely any stamina running this Reclaimer build, I was able to get to the other side of the box and get the bleeds off. But at this point, they just kind of sat down there, and we had to wait for them to push us, which, strangely enough, we had one of our teammates in the back fighting anyone flanking at one point, and then I was actually holding them off as the Reclaimer up front. And I don't know if they were just cautious to push us because our damage dealers were doing a lot of damage, because with the Death by Proxy and Talented up, that Dirty Reclaimer pulse is going to be giving them absolutely max crit chance, because I think it's about 40-something crit chance pulse with the skills up. And on top of, if they have even 20% crit chance, they're going to be at max, which is 60 for those of you that don't know. And then with the crit damage of the pulse coming in as well, they're going to be hitting much harder, especially since both of them are strikers, and they're going to probably be around 100 stacks for most of this fight. I know that got hard because these guys weren't pushing, so they weren't able to keep their stacks as high as normal, but overall we were doing pretty well. And at this point, we really should have pushed out the backside and gone for a clear, but I think we wanted to kind of stay around and fight. We're just kind of doing this for enjoyment. Here you can see I was trying to body block for BWA, but and hopefully the box can get him up. The box gets people up pretty quickly, but in that case, he was just taking too much fire from those people at the bottom of the stairs. And then here you can see we're kind of finally having everything catch up with us. We got all of them pushing. The backside they pushed with attack link with pred. Karmo's over here trying to strafe away, and I had to pop a green for both of us, give us that healing over time, because the green, you have to notice as a healer, you'll especially notice that the green's going to be delayed at least a second for your players, depending on how far they are with your connection. So with that in mind, you're going to pop greens early, and sometimes you might just pop them even for the healing over time. It's not always going to be for a revive. But here you can see Karma went down. I'm strafing, but to no avail, so I'm going to die and take that L. And now on the second one, we came right back out. All we've missed so far is we went rogue, and I think they got 1 kill. And now this is the interesting part. We are going rogue, and these guys aren't pushing us. They threw a bunch of skill items up here, which is great for me because I'm going to get a bunch of death by proxy and talented procs. And with those, this box is going to be nuts. And of course, these guys are actually pushing this time quite a bit. And on the backside, they've got a lot of guys that are just going to be hounding us. And so basically, we're just going to take them down as they come up. Our 2 DPSers are going to be putting in a lot of work. They killed so many people in this clip. It's nuts. But here we have a blue up because they pushed, and there were, I think, about 5 of them upstairs, which is, I mean, a 5-on-3. We got to have something going for us at the beginning of the fight here because I don't think they had 100 stacks yet at this point. But by the end of the fight, I know they do, and here we're just I'm monitoring the backside. That guy's got a disruptor, and he's going to try to disrupt this box every time he can. I tried to get that ult up for B, but as you saw, it's pretty tough when you get that delay and you think you hit it in time, but it's just with the connection on this game, it's really hard to time those. So you're almost better off hitting those as heals, just to give your team healing over time and to give them kind of a nice little burst heal. So that's one thing to keep in mind. But at this point, me and Karma are holding it down. We've got the one guy on the backside who, for some reason, we were confused. I don't know why he never pushed. He just kind of sat back there and tried to disrupt anytime we came over. But basically, we held off the front. At this point, I don't know why they didn't push. I think they were a clan down there, but maybe they were having communication issues, but I think they were just trying to get as many distance shots. Here they finally decided to push, but we spam the nades at the stairs, don't let them come up, and then Karma's sitting at the top of the stairs with all those stacks. He's going to be able to put them down, hopefully before they get to the top of the stairs. And then basically I'm just sitting back here doing the Reclaimer Shuffle, and at this point I'm telling my team, hey, the box is about to expire, we need to leave this spot, and so I'm getting ready, and I pop the box for us to move. We're going to throw a nade at the corner, and then we're going to miss embarrassingly. So, try to forgive me for that, but that was a bad nade toss. Here we're going to fall back and get a more elevated position with 2 choke points. And then we're going to DPS down the stairs, try to hold them off. And I believe that they take cover and start trying to make a plan to attack us. And so we got a couple of dudes that flank around. I'm going to spam as many nades. As soon as I get nades, I'm going to spam them. As a Reclaimer, you really have no other weapon like that. Sure, in a 1-on-1 or a 2-on-2, you might be able to shoot people because this is the Dirty Reclaimer. You have that pulse going for you, so you actually have a good amount of damage. The only issue is that damage isn't enough for you to be able to go face tank people in giant groups like this, especially when you run the risk of having someone shoot you in the back. As a Reclaimer, you have very little stamina, and you're going to get melted, so it's pretty tough to do anything like that. But at this point, you see there's like one guy down there, so that's why I'm pushing this far out of the box. Usually that's not going to happen. Primarily, you're going to be back here strafing, you're going to be doing the Reclaimer Shuffle, and popping your pulse every time you get it. And then usually I'm not even going to have my eyes up watching for enemies. I'm mostly just watching all of our health bars. But here we got a bunch of guys flanking backside. I shoot those Seekers to try to get us death by proxy and talented. And then my guys are out there doing the DPS work. And I wish we had our audio from the actual, like, what our voice chat is, because we got, at the beginning, we were just kind of taking it as a joke, hanging out and enjoying ourselves, but at about this point, we realized, wow, this has become a serious manhunt. We might be able to communicate a little better, and so we started calling out turrets, calling out people coming around behind, and sure enough, our 3-man is actually doing a lot of work against quite a few people. At this point, I think a lot of the people were leaving. I think we were coming down to about, at the beginning of the first fight, I think we had probably 9 people on us, maybe a little more. And then by the end of this fight, I think we had probably only 5 people on us. At this point, I think there was still about 6, but here I'm getting a death by proxy, and that was called out to me. And then here we have to run in and out of the box trying to clear the pred bleeds, which, that's a very broken build, but this is one way that you can counter it. As the Reclaimer, the pred bleeds are going to hurt a lot. You kind of got to deal with that. Here I hit an alt for myself because as the Reclaimer, you can't go down. If you do, then your team's pretty screwed. I mean, they might be great players, but it's pretty tough for them to overcome not having a healer when they're dealing with those kind of odds. Now, at this point, the box blew up. We had a rank 5 manhunt. We had a good lane out of that building, and so we all took off. And we communicated that we were going to stop here and try to kill some more people. And coming up here, I make the Reclaimer mistake. I accidentally pop my box. And that'll happen, you know, you just kind of get over it. And at this point, they didn't need it, but in about 2 seconds here, they're definitely going to need the box. I think they were having some lag issues, and so I put the box down, get our guys some healing, get the pred bleeds off of them, and then here we go. So they're going to go and try to burn the people coming up and down the hallway, and I'm going to kind of watch backside tentatively. The pulse is going to be able to let us know when people are flanking, and so that's basically how I'm going to watch, is I'm quick glancing up and then looking back down at the health bars to see if I need a combat medic for my team. And then they go handle backside, I call out front side, and they come up to the front to handle all the players, and they're going to mow down a sickening amount of people here in a second. And I'm just going to get my death by proxy. Basically, the life of a Reclaimer is you sit in the back, you strafe, and you do little bits to help your team. Now, when I get that death by proxy and the talented proc and the box goes up to 42 or 45 or whatever crazy number it gets to, now that should be, for most average pred bleeds, that should be healing for about either half of what that pred bleed is or about 3/4. And so for my teammates, that's going to be equivalent to them having a lot more EDR. And so the pred bleed's not going to hurt them quite as much. And so I wouldn't say it's a counter. It's definitely not. Pred bleed is pretty tough to counter. I would say that's more D3, maybe final measure, good counters to that. And then at this point, you see we have engaged super speed. No, obviously this is fast forwarded footage. You guys don't want to see the running. And so here we ran away from everybody, and we're going to go for our clear. I mean, it was a really successful manhunt. The first one, we took that L at the end, and then this one, we get the blue W. All right, well, and that's it, and that's the gameplay for the Reclaimer.